to talk a little bit about two lovely, wholesome boys who, up until this point in time, miraculously, unbelievably, avoided being sent to jail for many, many years, despite the fact that they routinely create false stories and narratives, slandering or committing libel against very prominent figures in our political landscape. Of course, I'm talking of none other than the beloved Jacob Wohl and his compatriot Jack Burkman, who have both, as of a few minutes ago, been arrested in Michigan for four felony counts of a series of robocalls aimed to intimidate residents in Detroit and other cities from voting by mail. So basically, they were making robocalls to the residents of Detroit to convince them not to vote, and with these robocalls spreading false information about how it is actually unsafe to vote, and it is, in fact, like, somehow going to lead to, like, more fraud in our elections, despite the fact that, realistically, voter fraud is such a minuscule problem that it's really not worth talking about. We just use it as a fear-mongering tactic every time elections roll around. And by we, I mean the conservative right. So yeah, they're finally in police custody. You know, it wasn't enough for them to my favorite story from them was the time they found Elizabeth Warren's like, I guess sex worker companion, who is like a beefcake dude who they brought to like a fake press conference and had him read a script where he talked about how Elizabeth Warren really loved like a green dildo. That's a real thing, by the way. And even during the press conference, the guy who was talking about it, who was supposed to be making it seem like Elizabeth Warren had like sexually like harassed him or manipulated him in some way, he just started laughing during the middle of it. He couldn't keep a straight face, and neither could Jacob Wohl or Jack Burkman, for that matter. It's one of my favorite moments of like the political scene in recent years. Honestly, I'm kind of sad that these two are actually very committed conservatives and not like prank comedians. But I think part of what makes their comedy just so much gold is the fact that they don't intend it as comedy. They intend it as actual like political operations. Like they see themselves as like hatchet men. And if you're not familiar with that term, hatchet men are basically people who kind of operate in the shadows of our politics and like kind of emerge to chop people down, aka that's why they're called hatchet men. They destroy people's reputations by coming up with manipulated stories that are credible enough to gain a foothold in like the public consciousness. And they kind of paint themselves in that vein, but they fall woefully short of like actually achieving anything in the political sphere. It's pretty hilarious. I really do hope though that I don't know. I kind of hope that they like, obviously their crimes are extremely extensive. Like these, honestly, I'm surprised they got arrested for this because they've done, I think, like worse crimes in the past. Where like I wondered like how have they not been arrested? Like, let's just take a look at like let's take a walk down memory lane through Jacob Wohl's Wikipedia, which, by the way, he was born in 1997. He's a young buck. Let's see, attempts to frame public figures, which is an actual segment on his Wikipedia page. Let's see. Activities. Investment funds, sanctions, legal action, surefire intelligence, kidnapping allegations, voter suppression robocall. He has attempted to frame public figures like Robert Mueller, Pete Buttigieg, Kamala Harris, and Anthony Fauci. Um, it's really, really kind of insane. Um, oh yeah, one time they showed up at Ilhan Omar's house in Minneapolis and like pretended that that was evidence that she was doing something wrong. Um, let's see. Oh yeah, for the Robert Mueller, they reached out to a, a law school professor named Jennifer Taub to basically try and get her to say that Robert Mueller like sexually harassed her. I believe this was during uh, the Kavanaugh hearings on Supreme Court Justice Kavanaugh, and they were trying to manipulate the story to be like, see, Robert Mueller is also a sex pest, and the woman they contacted was just like, no, this is actually very weird of you to do. Yeah, they offered her more than $20,000. I don't know how they get this money, but it's kind of mind-boggling that these two dunces are routinely able to get, like, I'm surprised at even like four-digit figures to try and bribe. Like, it feels like they should at this point be like digging around in their couch like cushions to like find loose change. Here, I'll give you five quarters and a nickel. Please, please make up a claim of sexual harassment against our political opponents, please. Um, and I believe that let's see. Oh my gosh, yeah, I think uh this is the story also where they're like, hey, we have a big bomb to drop. You know, stay tuned tomorrow. And then like nothing happened because like the law professor wasn't gonna say anything. Uh gosh. They also tried to get other women to sign the same affidavit. Um yeah. It's honestly like these like when I say it like it's surprising these people haven't gone to jail for like libel or like been sued into oblivion. I mean it. Like there's also a like an allegation that like Buttigieg had sexually assaulted someone, or that like Kamala Harris was having an affair. Like all of these weird like sex stories were like them working in like what can we do to like smear this person in the media, and this is the best that they could come up with. Yeah, like on May 2nd, 2020, the woman told Reason magazine that she and another woman had been paid by Wohl and Burkman to fabricate allegations against Fauci. Yeah. So these guys are probably gonna go to jail, and that's probably a good thing. A banana a go-go says in chat, I think Wool's mom is a successful lawyer or something. Even if that is true, um, it seems like at this point people would stop giving them money. I just think that that's very bizarre. But it's also really funny to me, so maybe they do it and just like laugh at their children. I don't know. Clay Clay BFX. That's true. They did fake an FBI raid last month. Uh, gosh, it's it's honestly astounding what people on on aligned with the political right can get away with. Like the other night, I read something about a Proud Boy getting arrested in Portland, and he had like eight felony counts on his record. Like he was wanted for those things, and he just hadn't been arrested, despite the fact that he's been there in like the protests for for months. These guys have been operating for years, doing like really shady and illegal shit, and they are just now getting arrested. And honestly, just as a small prediction, I'm not sure if they're big enough to be on anyone's political radar outside of like people who are just kind of like, oh yeah, it's these are the jokey joke boys. Um, but it also wouldn't surprise me if they had somehow had connections to the Trump administration and got pardoned. That would honestly be really, really funny. I would be infuriated, but it would, I have to admit, be very funny. So that is that's that. That's my little kickoff segment. That's I wanted to talk about that because I find it very funny. And I also find it very funny that they got caught doing robocalls. Do you know how many people get caught doing robocalls? Like idiots on like in the middle of nowhere can get away with doing robocalls. I feel like these two people were not necessarily doing robocalls, but were actually like individually calling people pretending to be robots. That would not surprise me in the slightest. And honestly, it would make the story so much better. So I think if you want to be in for like a source of like political comedy to get you through these dark times, please pay attention to their trial. I am 90 without knowing any of the other facts of this case. I am 99% sure that anytime you read up about their trial, you will get a smile on your face because whatever facts come to light from this are going to be absolutely cuckoo bananas insane and funny because they're so petty and on such a small scale. So, keep an eye out for that one. Oh, really? Is Jacob Woll's father on Fox News? Has he had to? Heck, can anyone find me a clip where Jacob Wall's dad had to talk about Jacob Wall being a huge dumbass on television? Because that would be the most incredible thing. I really want to see that. I have a deep desire to see this man cringing about his own son on television.